Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something special today. A charming guide for budding gardeners. My first gardening book. We'll see how it encourages kids to get their hands dirty and, you know, really connect with nature.
It's incredible how this book turns gardening into like a family adventure,
Oh, absolutely.
making planting and harvesting those learning moments that bring parents and children closer.
And the way my first gardening book is structured is it's like a journey, starting with the adventure begins. Then it leads you through like practical steps in getting ready and then boom, planting.
Yeah, the adventure definitely doesn't stop there. You go on to caring for the plants and all these other chapters that like really explore the world of gardening.
Okay, so let's unpack this adventure. As we start with these twins, Sam and Mia, and they're amazed to learn that carrots actually grow in the ground.
Oh, it's so relatable, that reaction. I think lots of kids, maybe even some adults, would be surprised where their food comes from.
Yeah, for sure.
And the book's really clever, using the twin story to bring in the idea of growing different vegetables, setting the stage for hands-on experience.
And it's great how it doesn't just throw kids into the garden with no guidance. The getting ready chapter, it's like a roadmap
Right.
with a shopping list and a garden plan.
Yeah, encouraging kids to think ahead, plan their space, what they want to grow. It's about ownership, responsibility.
They're like little project managers for their own gardens. They highlight 10 easy plants, potatoes,
Hmm.
pumpkins, even strawberries.
Uh-huh.
Did you know strawberries have more vitamin C than oranges?
It's one of those facts you never forget.
It is.
And the book's full of them. But what I find helpful are the tips for parents with each plant. Even if you're new to gardening, you can help your kids.
Those tips are so valuable, especially for those new to all this.
Absolutely.
Takes away the fear of the unknown, makes it more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, it turns gardening into a shared thing.
And once the planting's done, the learning continues with caring for the plants. Here's where they keep a diary, like a 20-week diary. All their activities, observations, thoughts.
It's brilliant how the book helps kids develop their observation skills.
Right.
They document their plant's growth with drawings, measurements. It's almost scientific.
It's like their little botanist doing experiments in their backyard. And there's a whole chapter on wildlife. They can even keep a wildlife log of all the cool creatures they find.
That's so crucial.
It
It
is.
encourages kids to appreciate the biodiversity in their own backyard. It's not just about plants, it's the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, understanding that balance of nature, right?
Yeah.
From the tiniest bug to the biggest sunflower.
Yeah.
Oh, and the magic moments to remember chapter.
Imagine a child's joy drawing or pasting photos of their discoveries, making a diary of wonder.
It's a great way to nurture their connection to nature, create memories. And then, on top of all that, there's a whole chapter on stories, games, and crafts. It's like they make learning fun.
And those activities, they go beyond just entertainment.
Yeah.
They encourage creativity, problem solving, a deeper understanding of nature.
Sounds like this book goes above and beyond to make learning joyful and interactive. Let's take a closer look at these stories, games, and crafts.
Let's do it. Maybe we'll even find some hidden gems that show what makes this book so unique. And each story, you'll notice, connects back to a gardening theme somehow.
Yeah, it's clever how they use stories to make the learning stick.
Yeah, more engaging, right? Like the determined little caterpillar, it teaches kids about the butterfly life cycle, but it ties into the growth they see in their own garden.
And each story has a coloring page, plus puzzles, games, even crafts, like the bug safari that gets kids out in the garden observing the insects.
Blending fun and education seamlessly.
Totally.
Those activities, they get you observing, exploring, really understanding nature.
And then there's a chapter, My Stories,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging kids to be the storytellers.
Oh, I love that.
They get to write and illustrate their own garden adventures.
It's all about creativity, expressing themselves. Their garden becomes like a source of inspiration.
Then we move on to harvest time. They've got this My Harvest log where kids weigh their produce, track everything.
It's so simple, but effective.
Right.
Fosters that sense of accomplishment
Right.
and subtly introduces math, too. Measurement, recording data, it's all there.
Learning built right into the process.
Exactly.
And of course, you got to enjoy what you grow, right?
Absolutely. That's where garden cooking comes in. Simple recipes using the fresh stuff they've grown themselves.
So it goes beyond just growing. It's understanding where food comes from the whole cycle.
That's it. And involving kids in the cooking encourages healthy eating, more family time in the kitchen.
It seems like my first gardening book really creates this whole gardening experience for families.
It does more than just teach kids to grow plants.
Hmm.
It's about that love of nature, the creativity, the memories you make.
Strengthening the bond between parent and child through this shared passion for gardening.
And speaking of connections, you know how the book teaches about how everything's connected in nature? It does it in a fascinating way through a character called Mycella.
Mycella.
Mycella isn't actually a person. She's like a representation of the mycelium network underground. Well, she's described as like a superhero, a master chef, and a communication network all in one. She lives in the soil and can sense what plants need.
Sounds almost magical.
Right. The book explains she can feel vibrations, chemical signals in the soil. So if a plant's thirsty, she acts like a straw, bringing it water.
So like nourishing the plants.
Even more than that, she breaks down, organic matter like leaves into delicious soup for them.
Wow. Mycella is vital to the whole garden then.
She is, and they use her to introduce symbiosis, how mycella and the plants help each other to thrive.
Making those complex science ideas easy for kids to grasp.
And it goes deeper. Mycella is a protector, too, cleaning up pollution in the soil.
So she's not just supporting life, she's safeguarding it.
Exactly. And her most amazing trick, she produces mushrooms. They're her messengers, popping up to remind us about her hidden world.
Wow, connecting what we see in the garden to all the amazing stuff happening underground.
It's through Mycella that the book teaches kids to appreciate how everything's connected. Even the tiniest creatures are important.
It's a powerful message for all of us, really.
And it speaks to that bigger message of my first gardening book, that wonder and respect for nature.
Empowering kids to become like protectors of the environment.
And creating those chances for families to connect with nature and with each other.
Speaking of connections, who created this book? Who are the authors?
Desi Stefanova, she used to be a primary school teacher, and Chris Ogle, he was a software engineer who became a passionate gardener.
Wow, what a team.
Right. It's interesting how their backgrounds come together in this book. Desi's teaching experience probably influenced all those interactive parts, how it's so kid-friendly.
I bet you're right. And Chris's passion for gardening, his concern about people being disconnected from nature, it shines through too.
Definitely. They've made something educational and engaging, practical and inspiring.
And most importantly, it gives families a way to connect with nature and with each other.
Yeah, it's so much more than just a gardening book. It's like a guide to a more mindful life.
It really is. And just like a garden, this book has so much potential. We've really explored this world of my first gardening book, all its secrets and ideas.
We have.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on what makes this book so special.
My first gardening book shows us how powerful simplicity can be and creativity, that love for nature. It reminds us that the best lessons come from doing, from sharing, from exploring the wonders all around us.
That's beautifully put. It reminds us that gardening is about more than plants. It's about a deeper connection with nature, with ourselves, and with each other. It's been great, digging into my first gardening book with you. It's one of those books that reminds you, even just planting a seed can lead to this, like, lifelong love of nature.
And those moments in the garden, parents and kids together, they can become something really special.
Yeah.
A connection that grows from discovery, from wonder, from understanding the world.
Oh, that reminds me, the book mentions a disclaimer and further support section. What's that about?
It's about safety, really, reminding readers to watch out for allergies, thorns, using tools carefully.
So being responsible, even though gardening's fun, there are things to keep in mind.
Exactly. And it's not just about listing dangers. It points you to places where you can find more help, more information.
Like if a parent or a kid has a question or needs help with something specific.
Right. They direct you to this online community, connect with other gardeners, get tips, ask for advice.
That's great. It's like the gardening connection goes beyond your backyard into this whole network.
And it shows you gardening's not something you have to do alone. It brings people together, those who love nature, who love growing things.
It's amazing how much this book fits in. The knowledge, the inspiration, all the practical stuff. And it's still fun and engaging.
It really does it all. Like a seed planted in a child's mind, it can grow into this passion for gardening, for the natural world.
It makes you think, what will this book inspire in its readers, right? Maybe a love for protecting the environment. Maybe they'll want to study plants or just always feel connected to nature.
So many possibilities. That's what's so great about a book like this.
Until next time, everyone, happy gardening.